Outside, the world howls, wind whipping rain, cutting sideways, trees bending like they might break. And yet inside, a single candle stands steady. That's the mind we're training for here on Stoicism Breath, still centered, unshaken by what rages around it. But most days, it's not a storm that knocks us over, it's a traffic jam that derails our mood, a rude comment that loops in our head, a tiny trigger that spirals into a lost day. The Stoics understood long before modern research backed it that your mind is a muscle. Muscles strengthen under deliberate load. So can your mind. Marcus Aurelius, leading Rome through crisis, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Think about that. The most powerful man in the world pointed inward, not outward. The real battleground isn't the commute, the inbox, or the news cycle, it's the inner narration that interprets them. What follows isn't feel-good fluff. These are tested tools refined across centuries to build the kind of peace that doesn't vanish the moment life misbehaves. Calm isn't the absence of problems, that's just luck. Calm is what remains when problems arrive and you don't collapse with them. It's standing tall at the eye of the storm, not pretending the wind isn't there, but refusing to let it own you. Before we go further, anchor your intention. Write this somewhere, you'll see it. My mind is calmer than the chaos around me, not as a wish, but as a practice, because the work begins now. Principle 1. Build a mind that doesn't require ease to be okay. Life will not deliver a perfectly choreographed day, ever. The sooner we accept that, the sooner real peace can live here. Most of us spend enormous energy trying to control the uncontrollable, hoping the boss is pleasant. The kids are angels, the partner always agrees, the schedule never slips. When reality refuses that script, and it will, we fracture. Epictetus, once enslaved and later a great teacher, staked a bolder claim: it isn't what happens that defines you, it's how you respond. He didn't write that for a poster, he lived it as survival. Consider the last time you felt overwhelmed. Odds are it wasn't catastrophe, it was something small, the wrong coffee order, an unexpected delay, a glitch that ate your work. Because the mind had quietly decided everything must go right, little frictions became big earthquakes. What if your steadiness didn't depend on smooth seas? What if you could remain grounded even when the day tilts sideways? This isn't about lowering standards or faking positivity. It's about unlinking inner calm from outer perfection. Here's how we train: use minor setbacks as micro-workouts. Shirt stained. Charger fails. Someone cuts you off. Don't explode. Inhale through the nose for 4, exhale for 6, and ask, can I stay steady? Despite this, you're not calling it good, you're choosing to be stable. The Stoics practiced negative visualization, briefly imagining loss, not to dwell in fear, but to rehearse resilience so they wouldn't shatter if the worst arrived. You can do the lightweight version: picture plans shifting, then picture yourself adapting with clarity. Each repetition lays neural track, your brain is plastic. What you repeat, you reinforce. That makes composure your default, not a fluke. Do this with the small things. Stay cool when meetings move, remain kind when someone is short with you. Breathe when tech freezes. Every time you choose composure over chaos, you're building capacity for bigger storms. You'll still have goals, preferences, ambition. You'll simply stop tying your peace to everything going your way. That is real freedom, acting from principle, not panic, from values, not volatility. And it begins now with the next irritation, the next breath, the next choice. Epictetus, once enslaved and later a great teacher, said something bold. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that defines your experience. For him, this wasn't abstract philosophy, it was survival. He had no control over the outside world, yet he found serenity by mastering his inner response. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed. Was it truly a disaster, or was it something small? Your coffee order messed up, traffic heavier than expected, a delayed text, or a glitchy phone. Often it's not the scale of the event, but our demand that life go perfectly that throws us off balance. But what if your peace didn't depend on everything going right? What if you could remain steady even when the day turns sideways? This doesn't mean lowering your standards or giving up ambition. It means no longer tying your inner calm to outer perfection. The Stoics practice something called negative visualization. They would imagine losing the things they cherished, health, wealth, even loved ones. Not to be grim, but to prepare their minds so they wouldn't shatter if the worst came. Their peace wasn't built on fragile conditions, it was rooted in resilience. You can start small. The next time your charger breaks your shirt stains or someone cuts you off in traffic, don't explode. Use it as training. Ask yourself, can I stay steady despite this? Not pretending it's good, but testing your stability. Stay cool when plans shift, remain calm when someone disappoints you, breathe when the app crashes or the meeting derails. Each time you choose composure over chaos, you're building mental resilience for the bigger storms. This isn't about becoming numb or detached. You can still have dreams, goals, preferences. But when your mind no longer demands a perfect world to feel okay, you gain something rare, true freedom. Freedom from the exhausting need to control everything. Freedom from the stress of hoping the world aligns with your script. Freedom to act from power, not panic. This is where calm begins, not in what happens, but in how you choose to respond. Principle 2. Don't believe everything your mind tells you. Your thoughts are not always your allies. That might sound unsettling, but it's one of the most liberating truths you can embrace. Your brain produces around 60,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are noise repeats, worries, irrational spirals that drag you into fear and stress. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's wisest voices, knew this well. He wrote about the peace that comes when you stop obsessing over what others think or say and focus instead on your own conduct, because the mind loves to stir up problems, even ones that don't exist. Marcus Aurelius understood this truth deeply. In his private reflections, he wrote about the peace that comes when you stop worrying about what others are saying or doing and instead focus on your own actions. He knew that the mind has a habit of stirring up problems, many of which aren't even real. Think about it. Your brain might replay embarrassing moments from years ago, invent worst-case scenarios that haven't happened, or create imaginary stories about what others think of you. It whispers, "You're not good enough." Or something bad is coming and suddenly you're trapped in fear. But here's the reality. Most of that isn't truth. It's just your brain doing its job, scanning for danger like an overzealous security guard. It rings alarms constantly even when there's no real threat. Its intention is to protect you, but it's clumsy, reactive, and often misdirected. The trap is when we take every thought at face value. If the mind says they're judging me, we assume it's true. If it whispers something terrible is about to happen, we start preparing for disaster. When it loops anxious scenarios, we convince ourselves they must mean something important. The Stoics broke free from this trap. They realized you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing those thoughts. There's a deeper part of you that can watch your mind chatter without getting lost in it. Try this right now. Just observe your thoughts for 30 seconds. Don't change them, don't fight them, just watch. You'll notice your mind bouncing from errands to regrets, from ideas to doubts, like a restless child. That simple act of observation shifts everything. Once you see that you can witness your thoughts, you realize you don't have to obey them. Thoughts are like clouds drifting across the sky. Some are useful, but most are just noise. The Stoics practice something called objective representation. Instead of dramatizing events, they describe them plainly. Instead of thinking, "My boss hates me and I'm doomed," they reframed it as, "My supervisor gave me feedback." Same event, but one framing pulls you into anxiety while the other brings clarity. You can start applying this today. The next time your mind spins a dramatic story, pause and ask, what are the plain facts? Strip away the emotional spin and get down to reality. You'll be shocked at how often your stress isn't about facts at all, it's about interpretation. And remember, having anxious thoughts doesn't make you an anxious person. Having angry thoughts doesn't mean you're aggressive. Having fearful thoughts doesn't mean something bad is coming. These are passing mental impulses. You decide which ones to follow and which to let drift away. The moment you stop blindly believing every thought, you reclaim control. You're no longer a puppet pulled by worry, fear, or doubt. You become the director of your inner life, no longer a bystander to your brain's randomness. Principle number 3. Quiet your thoughts, calm your existence. We live in an age obsessed with speed, faster replies, quicker results, instant gratification. But what no one tells you is the hidden cost. The faster your thoughts race, the more overwhelmed and anxious you become. A racing mind isn't proof that you're productive. It's a symptom of inner disorder. The Stoics understood a timeless truth that modern life often ignores. The speed of your thinking shapes the peace in your life. Seneca, who once advised emperors and carried immense responsibilities, wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." He knew that rushing steals the wisdom of the present. Think about the last time you truly felt grounded. Chances are your mind wasn't darting from one thing to another. You weren't juggling a dozen concerns. You were simply present, fully engaged, mentally calm, emotionally still. Yet today, many of us wake up already multitasking. We think about work while brushing our teeth, plan emails while walking to the car, stress about next week while eating breakfast. We tell ourselves this makes us efficient, but in reality it fractures our attention and floods us with stress. Just like your body, your mind needs rest space and silence. Without it, your nervous system stays stuck in overdrive and true calm feels out of reach. The Stoics practiced something they called prohoresis, the art of intentional attention. They trained themselves to give their full focus to one thing at a time. For them, presence wasn't abstract, it was a tool for stability. You can practice this today. Choose one daily habit you usually rush: drinking your coffee, walking, or cleaning. For the next week, do that one thing at half your usual speed. Really notice it. Bring all your awareness to it. Your mind will resist at first, telling you you're wasting time. That's normal, you've trained it to crave speed for years. But as you slow down, something shifts. You begin to hear your thoughts more clearly. You catch emotions before they spiral. You move from reacting to responding. Marcus Aurelius used another powerful tool, the breath. When he noticed his thoughts racing, he anchored himself in breathing. Not as a spiritual trick, but as a way to stabilize his mind in real time. Breath is the perfect pace for stillness. Not too fast, not too slow, always available. Try this now. Inhale deeply and count to 5, then exhale slowly and count to 5 again. Repeat that 5 times. Notice how your mental tempo slows. That's not magic. It's your body signaling to your brain, "We're safe. There's no emergency." Slowing your thinking doesn't make you lazy, it makes you deliberate. You catch mistakes before they snowball, make better decisions, and feel more satisfied with your effort. You don't do less, you do better. Most importantly, slowing your mind creates space for real calm to grow. Not artificial calm, but the kind that comes from presence and intentionality. Principle number 4. Embrace failure without losing yourself. Here's something schools rarely teach, but life never stops showing us how you deal with failure. Shapes everything. Not your wins, not your talents, not your luck. It's your response when things don't go your way that defines your growth. Sadly, most of us are taught from childhood to fear failure, to see it as proof that we're not good enough. We avoid it, hide it, or carry shame when it shows up. But the Stoics saw failure differently. They didn't call it defeat, they called it information. To them, failure was feedback, a mirror showing us what we need to learn. Epictetus, once a slave and later one of the greatest Stoic teachers, said, "No one can learn what they think they already know." For him, failure wasn't an enemy, it was a teacher. Without it, we stay trapped in illusions. With it, we evolve. Think of a toddler learning to walk. They fall again and again, but do they ever decide, "I guess walking isn't for me"? Of course not. Falling is part of the process. Yet as adults, we stumble once and think we're broken. One failed relationship and we decide we're unlovable. One bad job experience and we assume we're incompetent. The real problem isn't the fall, it's the story we tell ourselves about the fall. What if failure isn't personal at all? What if it's just data? A signal showing us what didn't work, so we can adjust and try again. The Stoics knew that setbacks carry wisdom, but only for those willing to look for it. So the next time life knocks you down, ask yourself 3 questions. First, what specific lesson can I learn here? Not vague guilt, but something actionable. Second, if my best friend were in this situation, what would I tell them? Because chances are you'd show them more kindness than you give yourself. Third, how can I use this experience to grow stronger, not smaller? Marcus Aurelius lived by this. He faced betrayal, war, illness, and grief, but he trained himself to see obstacles as fuel. He wrote The Obstacle to Action. Advances action, what stands in the way becomes the way. He wasn't denying hardship, he was transforming it. This isn't toxic positivity, this is grounded wisdom. Your character is sculpted through challenge, not comfort. Every time you rise from a setback with clarity instead of self-pity, you gain strength. Every time you bounce back, you prove to yourself that you're more than your circumstances. So start small. Burn dinner. Learn something about timing. Got turned down for a job. Identify the skill gap. Said the wrong thing in a conversation. Practice better communication. Each stumble becomes a stepping stone, and step-by-step failure stops being a cage and becomes your greatest teacher. Every stumble, no matter how small, is a chance to strengthen your resilience. The greatest people in history failed often, and they failed fast. But their greatness wasn't built on avoiding mistakes. It came from learning quicker than they fell. They understood a simple truth: failure doesn't define you, it refines you. When you can fail without collapsing, you become powerful. Not because you're immune to pain, but because pain no longer controls you. The Stoics called this the discipline of desire, the ability to embrace whatever life brings, especially when it teaches you something essential. Remember this: every expert you admire was once a beginner. Every strong person you look up to carries a trail of failures behind them. So don't mistake your missteps as signals to stop, they are signs you're growing. And this leads us to the next principle. Guard your energy like it's sacred. Each morning you wake up with a limited supply of mental and emotional fuel, yet most people burn through it recklessly, arguing, worrying, scrolling endlessly, giving their attention to distractions and noise. By midday, they feel scattered, drained, exhausted, and wonder why they can't focus. But your energy is not infinite. It's your most precious resource. The ancient Stoics knew this well. Seneca, one of the wealthiest and most powerful men of his time, was shockingly cautious about how he invested his energy. He wrote, "It's not that life is short, it's that we waste much of it." He wasn't only talking about time, he was talking about attention, vitality, and presence. Think about your own daily life. How much energy do you spend on things that don't truly move you forward? How much of your bandwidth is consumed by gossip, doom-scrolling arguments, or worrying about problems beyond your control? Every time you dive into negativity, obsess over something meaningless, or let yourself get caught in endless distractions, it's like withdrawing from your energy account. And unlike money, you can't just earn more on demand. Rest is your only recharge. That's why the Stoics practiced what they called the discipline of action. It meant focusing their energy only on what mattered, only on what aligned with their values and was within their control. Everything else, not their burden, not their responsibility, not their priority. Sometimes this means saying no more, often especially to what we now call energy leaks. The people who always complain but never change. News cycles that flood your mind with fear. Triggers that keep you overthinking. Even relationships that take and take without ever giving back. But protecting your energy isn't only about blocking negativity, it's also about nurturing what restores you. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to stay grounded in the present, because worrying about the future or replaying the past was nothing but wasted strength. Your energy belongs to this moment, and when you learn to guard it, you unlock clarity, calm, and the strength to live deliberately. Seneca once reminded us that worrying about the future or replaying the past only drains the energy we need for the present, the only place where real power exists. Here's a simple practice you can try this week. Pay close attention to what fuels you and what drains you. Write it down. Notice which habits, people, and thoughts refill your tank and which ones leave you mentally bankrupt. You may be surprised. Common drains include doom scrolling the news, trying to control others, constant multitasking, overcommitting, reacting without pausing, or endlessly seeking approval. On the other hand, refills might come from something as simple as a walk outdoors, creating something meaningful, solitude, deep and honest conversations, learning something new or small, acts of kindness aligned with your values. The goal isn't to avoid all difficulties. Some challenges are worth the effort because they shape who you want to become. The key is to be intentional. Stop letting your energy leak out without realizing it. Set boundaries. Just as you wouldn't leave your wallet on the sidewalk, don't leave your energy unprotected. This might mean muting certain chats, turning off notifications, walking away from circular arguments, or simply scheduling time alone to reset. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's stewardship. Because when your reserves are full, you're more capable of giving to the people and causes that matter most. Remember, your energy fuels your thoughts, emotions, decisions, and responses. It shapes how you show up in the world. Guard it like the life force it truly is. This leads to the next principle: let go of the need to always be right. This single shift can transform your relationships and restore your peace of mind. Not every disagreement needs a winner, yet most of us treat arguments like battles. Our goal is to prove a point, expose the other's flaw, and walk away victorious. But what does that actually bring us? Stress, regret, and fractured connections. The Stoics understood that the desire to always be right often comes from insecurity, not strength. Take Marcus Aurelius as an example. He had absolute power. He could have forced anyone to agree with him. Yet in his writings, he urged himself to focus on the good in others, to seek understanding instead of fault. That wasn't weakness, it was wisdom and discipline. Think back to your last argument. Were you really searching for truth, or were you protecting your pride? Many conflicts aren't about logic or facts at all. They're emotional turf wars. Two people clinging desperately to being seen as right, talking over each other instead of listening. Here's the paradox: the harder you fight to be right, the more you alienate the people around you. You stop connecting, you stop listening, and you feed a cycle of defensiveness. The Stoics chose a different way. They didn't enter conversations to dominate, they entered to learn, to connect, and to understand. They entered conversations not to dominate, but to learn. They listened with curiosity, searched for common ground, and asked questions instead of delivering lectures. They never backed away from truth, but they also never confused truth with ego. This doesn't mean becoming passive or silencing your beliefs. It means choosing your battles wisely, responding with grounded confidence rather than fragile pride. A secure person doesn't need constant validation. They can listen without getting defensive, and they can respect a different perspective without falling apart. Here's a simple practice: the next time someone disagrees with you, resist the urge to argue. Pause and ask, what might they be seeing that I'm not? Say, help me understand your view better. These small shifts can turn confrontation into collaboration. Sometimes you'll discover they're right. That's not defeat, that's growth. Other times you'll realize both of you hold part of the truth, and occasionally you'll uncover deeper differences that no argument can erase. Epictetus reminded his students that if you are grounded in who you are, you don't need others to approve of you. When your identity isn't built on always being right, you're free. You can connect without defending yourself, and you can value the person more than the point. This is especially powerful in close relationships. Your loved ones, your partner, your children, your friends are not opponents to outwit. They don't need correction. They need to be heard. Before entering an argument, practice what the Stoics called the discipline of assent, the skill of checking your ego before reacting. Ask yourself, is this discussion worth the tension? Will winning actually improve the situation? Am I seeking truth, or am I just protecting my pride? Often the wisest response is simple: I see it differently, but I respect your view. That's not surrender, it's mastery. When you stop fighting to win, people feel safe with you. They open up, they listen more, and your words carry greater weight, not because you forced them, but because you invited them. The true goal of communication is never domination. It's connection, understanding clarity, and at times collaboration. This leads us to the final principle: build your life from the core outward. This is the root where calm, strength, and resilience take shape. Too many of us let the world dictate how we feel inside. But the Stoics discovered a life-changing truth. Unshakable peace comes when you live from the inside out, not the outside in. What does that mean? It means your mood, your confidence, your joy, and your stability don't depend on outcomes, approval, or circumstances. They come from your values, your character, and your perspective. In other words, you create your emotional climate. Rather than being at the mercy of life's shifting storms, the Stoics taught us to stand rooted within. Epictetus once said, "No one can harm you without your permission." That wasn't denial, it was clarity forged through hardship. As a former slave who discovered true freedom in his mind, he learned to guard the one sanctuary no one could take away: his inner world. Living from the outside in means your peace rises or falls with every comment, success, or setback. You're tossed around by events beyond your control. But living from the inside out feels completely different. You stay grounded in your values even when others disappoint you. You know who you are regardless of wins or losses. You can find gratitude even in imperfect moments. You respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. In a world that constantly changes, you remain consistent. This doesn't mean you stop caring about life or abandon your goals. You still pursue dreams, build relationships, and grow. But your calm is no longer hostage to outcomes. You'd prefer success, but you don't need it to stay composed. Marcus Aurelius lived this principle daily. Despite ruling an empire scarred by wars, betrayal, and grief, he reminded himself, very little is needed to live a happy life. It is all within yourself and your way of thinking. His joy didn't come from power, it came from perspective. You can practice the same. Each morning, take 5 minutes to connect with your inner compass. Reflect on your values, breathe in gratitude, and remind yourself of who you want to be. Each night, review your actions. Did you live aligned with your principles, or did the world steer you off course? And when life disrupts your plans, as it always will, ask, how can I respond in a way that honors who I want to become? Stop letting the world pull your strings like a puppet. Be the author of your reactions. Create your own scorecard based not on applause or outcomes, but on what you control. Did you act with integrity? Treat others with dignity. Stay patient in difficulty. Speak from clarity instead of emotion. Learn from the day, no matter how it went. When you live this way, a profound truth reveals itself. Everything you've been seeking out there, peace, strength, confidence, joy, was within you all along. This is the Stoic way. You are not a fragile leaf tossed by the wind. You are the tree-rooted, steady, unshaken. The world may shift, but your center holds firm. And when you finally begin living from the inside out, you discover real freedom, freedom from the need to control everything. Freedom from the roller coaster of outside validation, freedom to be your truest self in a world that constantly pressures you to be someone else. My power flows from within, not from what surrounds me. That is the essence of the Stoic path, a path we must walk moment by moment. You now hold 7 powerful tools, ancient yet practical, proven across centuries, to transform how you meet challenge, chaos, and change. But knowing them isn't enough. Real transformation begins only when you apply them. The Stoics never aimed to impress with words. They aimed to embody their wisdom. Philosophy without action, they believed, was nothing but noise. These aren't shortcuts or quick fixes. They are disciplines requiring consistency, humility, and courage. Some days you'll practice them with ease. Other days you'll slip back into old habits. That's okay. Growth is not a straight line, it's a deliberate walk. Keep walking. Begin with the one principle that resonated most deeply with you. Commit to practicing it for a month. Let it shape your thoughts, your decisions, your reactions. When it becomes part of you, add another. In doing this, you're literally reconditioning your brain to meet life with clarity and strength. Every moment you train your mind, you invest in your future peace. Remember, the Stoics did not live easy lives. They faced plagues, exile, betrayal, wars, and grief, yet they found stillness, not because life was gentle, but because they learned to respond with wisdom. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, the universe is change, life is what our thoughts make it. And that remains true today. Your thoughts have shaped your experience up to this very moment. Starting now, you can reshape them not to avoid pain, but to face it with strength, not to escape challenge, but to transform through it. The goal isn't to erase difficulty that's impossible and even unhealthy. The goal is to meet each experience with clarity, courage, and calm. The Stoic path isn't the easiest road, but it is the most rewarding. Every time you choose calm instead of panic awareness, instead of reaction strength instead of dependence, you step closer to becoming who you were meant to be. Your journey toward unshakable composure doesn't begin tomorrow or when life finally settles down or when everyone understands you. It begins right here in this breath with this thought in this very moment. If this message resonated, share it with someone who needs this strength, like this video, and subscribe to Stoicism Breath for more timeless tools for inner peace. Your future self will thank you for beginning today. Affirm it now: I am cultivating unshakable calm from the inside out.